This is going to be a loaded topic. Demons are not what you think. We are told to stay away from these forces, that they are dark, evil, destructive, and powerful. And these are true to a degree. But we've not been told the true extent of the truth of what they really are. Get ready because we're going to challenge everything that we've ever been told about demons. For those of you who are new here to this channel, my name is Will and this is the Esoteric Cross. I make videos about how to gain your personal power while learning ancient secrets. And if that sounds like something that you're into, please hit the like button and subscribe and gain insight from this perspective in the cosmos. Most every religion and tradition, even before Christianity, has talked about the concept of demons. And this concept is ancient. And they were not always considered to be fully evil. Some were thought to have protected people, some harmed people, and some did both. We commonly think of demons as dark, evil, destructive, and powerful. Well, so is consciousness. So are people. We see these strong associations between angels and demons, light and dark, good and evil. In ancient Greece, they were described as spirits. They were viewed as figures seemingly similar to spirit guides. And this could also be associated with angels or even the concept of the Holy Guardian Angel or the HGA. In Mesopotamia, they had this concept basically of demons, but they were not viewed as evil, or at least not viewed as purely evil. They were more neutral. Judaism started to view them as fallen beings or fallen angels. They got the reputation for being rebellious beings, and they were just heavenly beings that fell. They ended up becoming associated with bad luck, temptation, and illness. And later, Christianity just lumped them all into the category of evil. And this ended up making them something to fear. And then demons became a part of propaganda. The occult reframed demons again into intelligences, archetypes, and aspects of our consciousness. They are aspects of the psyche and they are energetic forces. They are beings that can be worked with in ceremonial magic. They can be invoked and they can be banished and are generally viewed as to be parts of the self. Divinity, God, consciousness, the universe, it is all one conscious being, one consciousness. What happens is divinity creates reality and it throws itself into it. It experiences it almost as if it is falling into a dream. Think about yourself, and when you have dreams, when you go to sleep at night, everything in the dream seems so real and so vivid, even to the point where you might convince yourself to be this protagonist in the dream. You might forget all about your life and all the experiences that you've had. And of course, you could also be a conscious observer within the dream, and you're just watching everything play out. But you've got to remember, you are the one that's making the dream. Even if it doesn't feel like you're all the characters within the dream, you still are all the characters within the dream. You are creating the story from your subconscious. Your subconscious is key here, as your subconscious and the intuition, the link into it is the connection to all, the collective unconscious, the oneness of God, of divinity. So really think about yourself in these dreams as you forget your life, you forget all of these things. You might borrow aspects of it to create this dream. Then when you wake up, you realize, oh wow, it was all just a dream. You can view your own life kind of like that, as if you are God dreaming about itself. Each person that you interact with, each situation you find yourself in, each flower you stop and observe, each star that you look at within the sky, it is all you, God, divinity, oneness. It is the same. You recognize yourself in other. You recognize divinity within other. That does not necessarily mean that everything is good. This is all about balance. So as God creates reality, we have this natural light and dark, and we have a middle way. Very well described on the Kabbalistic tree of life, but not necessarily in the sense of good and evil. These are very humanistic perspectives. This is what it looks like from our perspective. But if we were able to zoom out and see the totality of everything, there is an appreciative beauty within all of it. So even though that we can view this as we have this one consciousness, this one divinity, it's also kind of split and fragmented into all these aspects, into all of these different focal points. But you contain the properties of all of it. So in this way, let's look at angels and demons. What are they? They are aspects of consciousness. Angels will be representing these higher aspects of consciousness, the higher aspects of functioning, higher intelligences, maybe closer to the divine source. Each angel is a very specific modality of God, a very specific modality of consciousness, a very specific modality of you and your consciousness. So when you get into the path of ceremonial magic and you're invoking and banishing different deities and angels and planets and elements and all of these things, all of these forces, you are choosing to clear out these aspects of yourself, to bring in divine light into aspects of yourself, strengthen aspects of yourself, and to bring out certain aspects. The whole goal is to separate, purify, strengthen, and integrate. That's the path of ceremonial magic, starting with the 4 elements, going into the 7 planetary energies, going into the wheel of the zodiac, and then the zodiac is what is split into these 36 deacons and also the 72 angels of the Shem. So I know that sounds like a lot and it can be a little confusing, but there is this chart that kind of breaks down this process. You can check that out in the link in the description below in this free roadmap, which is a guide for people who are interested in ceremonial magic. Now, essentially, what this is just a breakdown of consciousness, being able to separate it into its parts. By the way, this is not the only path that does this, but if we are not able to break down the consciousness into these parts and to really get control over these parts, then we live a lot of our lives kind of asleep or letting other people who have this knowledge and power control our lives and to control the aspects of our consciousness. We all contain them and they can all be invoked or brought out. And like I said, if we don't gain control over them and figure this out for ourselves, then that places a large amount of power in other people's hands. Why do you think people in such high positions of power are so obsessed with things like demonology? So if angels are these higher aspects of consciousness, demonic energies or these demons are going to be lower aspects of consciousness. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are all dark and evil. It can mean that they live in the shadow, and it can mean that they do wreak havoc on our life if they are not put in their place. If you do not put something within the self that's within the shadow in its place, then it controls you. It has the reins on you. And anybody else who knows how to bring it out also has those reins on you. So the idea isn't to take a demon and send it out and to wreck somebody else's life or something like that. It's not about bringing out this demon to get infinite riches and success. And it also isn't leading to this demonic possession where you're walking on the walls and crawling on the ceilings. That is all Hollywood conditioning. When we're looking at demons, we're often talking about this unintegrated shadow. In the shadow are the things that we refuse to look at within the self. And a lot of times they can represent the desires that we fear, the things that we really don't want to be brought to light. It could be aspects of the ego that we don't want to bring to light. So doing shadow work is essentially working with the demonic forces within the self. So for an example, let's say that you're really easily bothered by what other people say, to the point where it actually keeps you up at night. You're really, really deeply troubled by the things that other people say about you. It could be a family member, it could be somebody you deeply care about, and then it can also be as simple as a stranger or just some random coworker or colleague. It's disrupting your life. So, the light of consciousness is the light of awareness. So this could be your spiritual practice. When somebody says something that they don't like about you, take your attention into the feeling of the moment. Don't try to push it off into the shadow. If you're pushing it off into the shadow, what that might look like is you acting like you don't care or trying to become so egotistical and arrogant or try to act larger than what you really are. It can come out in a lot of different ways. And that is something that we would start to take a look at, because what those behaviors do is they wreak havoc on our life and they cause us a lot more problems. That is going to be the results of the demon wreaking havoc. So to get control over the demon would be to take your awareness directly into it in the moments that somebody says something that really upsets you. So as they do that, watch the feeling, watch the self, just be very observant. It doesn't mean you have to make it mean anything. It doesn't mean you have to let it spiral out into thinking. It doesn't mean that you have to have any type of behavior, just watch it. Your awareness brings light into the shadow. And what that does is help you gain control over that aspect. It brings the shadow into light and it starts to integrate. Then you have this aspect of consciousness, this demon, that is becoming more purified and purified and purified. And it ends up becoming something that can be really helpful. It's something that becomes a tool for your spiritual awakening. That is the big secret. Some other things here that demons would represent are instincts that we deny. It is suppressed trauma. Also, bring your attention to this new theme within Hollywood where we have these demonic possession type movies, or we have all these horror movies that are all relating to trauma, generational trauma. It's because these things also become our demons. And then, of course, another way that this shows up is power that we refuse to claim. If you're not claiming the power that's used within you, it's going to claim you, or even worse, somebody else is going to claim that power that's within you, and you're going to freely give it away. So within ceremonial magic, we are working with these intelligences, all these different little aspects of the self, and we are gaining control over them and being able to manipulate ourselves and the reality directly that's around us by doing this. So we are commanding these forces, we are commanding these demons really as the manager or the business owner of them. Angels and demons are kind of like the architects or the workers of reality. Really, divinity, you might even hear this term, the grand architect. This is God, or even the generative principle. It's this highest aspect of consciousness that you have this grand architect, right? And then underneath that, you have this hierarchy of beings or intelligences. They are these aspects and these governing forces of nature that we would consider to be archangels, like architects. They create the architecture of the universe, the architecture of the self. Then you have these demons, which are more like these worker aspects of consciousness. They do the laboring work and they rebel. So remember, like I was saying, you have this rebellious theme when it comes to these demons, as they are these fallen aspects of consciousness. And if they stay like that, they stay unredeemed, they rebel against the whole system. That's what wreaks havoc on our life. These are our personal demons. For example, the addictions that we have, the vices that we have, our overlean into materialism. They take everything out through us, through our anger. They do it through destruction. They do it through self-pity. It happens through inflating the ego. There are so many ways that this comes out. And of course, this goes right into personal as self-development, because our goal in life is to be able to become the best version of ourselves that's possible. And we can't do that if we let all of these low aspects of ourselves run our lives. Now, as I make this video, I'm being very clear in the fact that this is what demons are representing, but I'm also not saying to go out there and start invoking or banishing demons before knowing what it is that you're doing. So please don't go out there and start doing stuff like that. If you're interested in ceremonial magic, the whole goal is to be able to work your way up, starting with the 4 elements, then working into the planetary energies, and then the zodiacal energies, and then the angels. The whole goal of ceremonial magic really is to get in touch with this holy guardian angel, which is the high aspect of the self. So that actually might be something that you would want to look into first. And check out that 4 Corners roadmap that's completely free. It's in the description below, which is like a guide that helps you to get started in practicing ceremonial magic. And it also has the instructions for the LBRP, Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, and the Middle Pillar. And these are the rituals that you usually first learn when you start practicing ceremonial magic. So just know that over time, the meanings of demons and the concept has definitely changed, but the core piece still stays in place, that they're not necessarily just these evil creatures. They're not out here to possess you. They can absolutely take control of you via your own self. It is lower aspects of your own self taking control of you. And I feel like this is powerful because you don't need to be afraid of this. And nothing is completely outside of you. Nothing that you will ever work with in life is going to be completely outside of you. I want this to empower you to view these different perspectives, try on these different perspectives, and whether you work with them or not, you can see that every spiritual tradition and religion, or points in time, has slightly different perspectives on this concept, and not all of them believes that they are just generalized forces of evil. Check out that Four Corners roadmap below. Also, you can check out the courses that I have to offer. I hope that there was something new that you were able to take away from this video. If so, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.